It's Alice here. We are gonna go and talk to JJ, who is currently doing a trial for a male contraceptive, which is actually the most advanced male contraceptive in the world right now. It's a male contraceptive gel, and we've been looking for someone who's on the trial to talk to us about this. So I'm really excited to he's just about to join the call. Hope everyone's having a good Monday, and your Monday's not been as terrible as mine. Hi, JJ.
Hi, are you right?
I'm good. You're not Heather. That's your girlfriend's
No.
account. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. Well, my wife actually.
Oh, your wife.
Yeah.
Congrats. So yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Would love to hear more about how you came on to start, how you came about doing this trial.
Yeah, well, I mean, it started as a practical thing, I think, because Heather's on the implants and it's not working great. And I sort of just wanted, to find a solution, basically. I think I heard about it randomly that they were doing it in Edinburgh. And I went online and it was really hard to find anything, actually,
Yeah.
which is one of the problems. Like, they've been doing it for years by now, but there's not much talk about it. So I'm really glad that I get to talk about it now. But I think sort of, once I started doing it, it's also just really exciting because I think it's so groundbreaking. I think it's really cool for, I suppose, both that women don't have to be responsible for contraception, but also that men can be responsible for it if they like. I think so. I know it's sort of from my parents. My mum had a few abortions. She's not alive anymore, sadly, but my dad's not quite sure how many, if it was 2 or 3 actually.
Wow.
And he said the last time he couldn't handle it anymore because he actually did want a child. And my mum was really into sort of alternative contraceptions because she believed that the pill was bad for you and things like that. So I think it's really important that men take responsibility for it,
Yeah, amazing. And how long have you been trialing the gel?
Since probably January, February. No, yeah, it was sort of delayed due to COVID. So for a while they weren't taking on new participants, and then they started doing it again. So at the moment I'm sort of in the initial phase, which is a suppression. So it stops your sperm production immediately, but it takes quite a while to get rid of all the sperm that's sort of been built up. So that's a phase I'm in at the moment.
And how often do you apply the gel?
It's once a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And where is it on the shoulder you put it?
It's on the shoulders, yeah. I find there's quite a bit of gel, so I kind of need to go onto my back and onto my chest. So it takes a bit of technique.
Is it clear?
Yeah, and it smells sort of like hand sanitizer, actually, which
lovely.
Everyone knows now.
That's what we need. We need more hand sanitizer in our lives right now.
Exactly.
And have you experienced any side effects since you've been using it?
I have, yeah. So for about 2 weeks, my testosterone levels were low. So sort of the sperm production is, linked to your testosterone production. So the gel that I apply is also a testosterone gel, the same kind that you give to people who don't have enough testosterone. But I think I wasn't applying it quite well enough. And I've also been given a gel now that's got slightly more testosterone. But yeah, for 2 weeks it was quite hard. I just sort of every afternoon, evening, I would have a really tough time. I cried a lot.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's okay. It's just it's sort of just. Yeah, it is a bit like depression, I suppose, or sort of, just everyday situations get really hard to handle. Yeah. And it also kind of highlights, what people don't always talk about, that men also have a hormonal cycle. It's not always the same level, even if you don't use a gel, right? Because it would always be sort of the same time of the day. That my levels would be low and I would be quite low. So, yeah.
And just for anyone who doesn't understand, the way that they stop the sperm from being produced is they also need to reintroduce testosterone, right? To sort of they take it away, but then they need to add more back in so that it's like a normal level.
Exactly.
And so initially when you were doing the trial, you weren't quite getting that level right. Is that right?
No, that's the thing. It was it takes a bit of trial and error as well, I suppose. It's also sort of how long you keep it on for. So they say at least 4 hours, but they sort of ended up saying that I should probably just keep it on like 24 hours a day, which means I have to sleep with the t-shirt on and just really never be topless, because I really have to keep it away from my wife. So, you know, you can't get testosterone onto other people, especially women and children. So you have to be quite careful with it.
Wow.
I do hope once it gets commercial that there'll be a bit of a more user-friendly version. You know, like I know it's not the biggest problem in the world, but if you can take a pill and it kind of works with your body as well, that is a lot easier.
Yeah. So you do do you do like the contraceptive on one side and the testosterone on the other?
No, it's all in the same gel, so I just do one dose on each shoulder. So it's
But if you were to like rub up against your partner, she'd get it on her, and then she'd have okay. Gosh, that is it does feel like maybe a gel's not the right thing. Do you know why they chose a gel?
I think, I mean, as far as I know, if you need you know, if you get supplemental testosterone, that's a gel. So I'm not sure there's any sort of tried and tested methods besides that of introducing the testosterone. I don't know if the contraceptive actually needs a gel or not. I think it's probably mostly because of the testosterone. I think there was a trial with an injection earlier on that sort of didn't work out, but I don't know so much about the history of it, to be honest.
That was the one that got stopped because of the side effects. So apart from the mood side effects, have you noticed anything else?
No, it's I've been fine otherwise, which I've been really happy with, because obviously you can get most of the side effects from like that women also get from contraception. So sort of mood swings, obviously, but weight gains and, you know, skin issues, things like that, especially because it's a gel. They say it can sort of cause some irritation and so on to the skin where you apply it, and just sort of more minor niggles, I suppose. But no, I've been quite lucky, apart from the 2 weeks.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I mean, did it give you an insight into the effect that contraceptives can have on women? Because a lot of women feel really emotional when they're on the pill, me included.
Yeah, I think so. It's just like it feels a bit transcending in a way. I don't know. It's like an experience that most men just never really have to, you know, like I mean, I know that it's not only for contraception that men sometimes have hormonal treatments. It can be for cancer, for example, or if they just don't have enough testosterone and so on. But like, you know, the idea that your hormones sort of get messed with, it's obviously quite a new experience for me. So yeah, I would say that it's quite enlightening. I can definitely, I mean, I did already sympathize, but I still do.
You sound like you're pretty clued into that already, so that's nice. And so how long will you be using the gel for?
It sort of depends on how long it takes for my sperm levels to become zero. And I think they have to be that for a month at least. And then the trial itself, so to speak, the efficacy phase where we actually see if it works as contraception, is for 1 year. And then there's a period after that where I stop using it and they monitor my sperm levels to kind of see that they go back to normal.
Yeah. That's
obviously been, you know, is sort of I suppose the concern you have when you hear about it, like, will the sperm levels go back to normal? I have a friend who studies molecular biology and is like very advanced. He's doing a PhD, and he was like, you need to get sperm freezed. Like, this sounds really dangerous. I mean, I couldn't get sperm freezed and I'm comfortable with it. Like, quite a lot of people have done it already, but it's a bit of a, you know, a new idea for a lot of people that you kind of manipulate sperm levels.
Yeah, it is. It really is very different. So in that year, will your girlfriend use contraception, or will you genuinely test whether it works?
We'll genuinely test it. So that's the thing. Like once a year starts, they'll remove her implant, and she's not allowed to use any contraception. We're not allowed to use anything. They said if we ever did use a condom, for example, the trial would have to stop. So
do they ask you how often you have sex and stuff?
Yeah, they do. So yeah, my wife keeps sort of a diary, and then once in a while I have to do a psychosexual diary, which is a bit more invasive. It sort of asks you if you've had any if you've been aroused, if you've had any sexual thoughts, and this and that. So I have to do it for, I think, a week at a time, but only once in a while, not all the time. Yeah. So yeah, you sort of have to think quite thoroughly about what you have actually been thinking about.
Wow. I mean, just thinking about how like involved it is in your life. Also, you can see why it's taken so long to develop these, right? Because the risks involved in this, you know, the unknown, and the, you know, I guess the responsibility that you're taking in doing this on yours. Like if it didn't work, would that be really disastrous for you guys, or would you be like, okay, we're pregnant? I don't know. I just think that's quite a big thing to ask couples to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that it takes quite a long time to develop these things and test them properly and so on. I mean, they kind of know that it works already, so yeah, like I don't think that Heather should get pregnant unless I sort of end up not using it properly or something. Yeah. But I mean, the pill has existed since the 60s. I do think there's also a bit of a lack in like, has been a lack at least in sort of the willingness to develop these things. But I'm really glad that it is happening now. I think it's really exciting.
So am I, and like, thank you for doing the trial and being a part of it. It's incredible. How many of you, do you know how many of you are doing it from Edinburgh?
No, I don't know actually. I read a Guardian article quite a while ago, and I think it was like about 100 maybe, but that was years ago. I honestly have no clue actually how many there are now, because you know, I don't meet anyone else. I just go to appointments once a month, and that's it. Yeah. So.
And presumably at those appointments you have to produce a sperm sample so they can test it?
Yeah. So that's another thing that's kind of slightly impractical sometimes. I have to abstain for 2 days before the appointments. So it's sort of, there's some like minor hardship involved sometimes.
Wow. Yeah, it really is putting the science in your sex life, isn't it?
And I'm not a fan of producing the samples, to be honest either. I don't enjoy it, but it's okay.
Cool. So, do you think when and if it gets released, you would use it as your contraceptive?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember one of the first things I asked when I phoned them up about it and sort of inquired about participating was what happens after the 1 year. Can we then not have it anymore? And they said, no, you can't. And I mean, it'll be a bit frustrating, right, if it works really well and it's just so much better, because at the moment I don't have any side effects. And if Heather then feels loads better not having the implants, and then we can have it for a year and then we can't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Who knows how long it'll be before we can have it again, right?
Yeah. Isn't it amazing to think that Heather is like one of the few women in the world right now will be one of the few women in the world whose partner is trying this for the first time? That's incredible. And I know obviously men can use condoms and vasectomies, but this is like really cool in her relationship that she'll be saying, no, JJ deals with the contraception. It's amazing.
Yeah, my dad's quite a feminist, actually, so I'm thankful as well he brought me up like that. But he's always, when I've said, like, you know, the implant doesn't work so well, he's been like, why don't you use condoms? And I've been like, maybe we could. And it's actually been Heather who's not been totally for it either. I mean, it's just not the nicest thing if you are in a steady relationship either, right? Having to use condoms, and they can cost like a certain amount of money as well. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it can actually be really expensive. I know from personal experience, the costs rack up. So, well, thank you so much. If anyone's got any questions for JJ, do pop them in the chat. But I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and I just really appreciate you doing the trial, being really open about it, and the Lowdown community are so interested in male contraception and what's happening. So I'm so pleased I finally got to speak to someone. So thank you so much, JJ.
Well, that's good to hear. Thanks for having me. As I said, I'm really glad that it's being covered more now. I think that's really good.
Do your friends know?
Some of them do. It's it's a bit, it's not the sort of thing that's always, comes up in conversation. But I don't mind telling them. Certainly, I think it's really cool. I think there's also a bit of, I don't know. So it's a bit hard to explain. But I grew up in Denmark, which is quite a society that where masculinity is quite important. And I think since moving to the UK, I've sort of been able to understand that a bit better and also challenge it a bit. And I feel like that really does challenge it, and I kind of enjoy as well just saying to people, I don't produce sperm at the moment, because I think that does challenge it a bit. So yeah, I think
definitely. No, it's really cool. I think it really does challenge our notions of masculinity and what this means, this reproductive autonomy. So yeah, thank you so much, JJ. Thanks for your time.
Well, thanks for having me again.
Thank you.
Bye then.
Bye.